let me cross live to Preeti. Preeti, you got into some kind of a situation there. A scuffle broke out at Guwahati, at the place that you are. What really happened and what's the situation like right now?
Yes, I have to tell you that this is the traffic point that you can see on the camera screen on that side of the road through which the lady protester was actually dragged on the road as she was trying to break the barricade that was made by the police securities in front of Rajiv Bhavan, and they were asked to protest inside the Rajiv Bhavan itself. But actually, as the protesters started breaking the barricades and coming out, so the security persons, the police here, had to take actually extreme steps in order to stop the protesters. I'm trying to show you the visuals of the protesters. They're still standing on the barricades, and the police here has been trying to take them into their buses. And already a lot of Congress leaders have been detained. If you count on Apurva Bhattacharjee, if you count on Meera Thakur, all of them have been detained by Assam police. And I'm trying to show you the visuals in front of Rajiv Bhavan. How the protesters are actually being detained. And you see, because a while ago we could see a lady who was being dragged in front of Rajiv Bhavan, and she was Ankita Datta, who is actually a very, we can say, a very prime opposition leader when you talk about the opposition leaders in the Congress. So I'm trying to show you the visuals in front of Assam Pradesh Congress Committee, Rajiv Bhavan, and you can see how this is the fourth bus. I have to tell you, this is the fourth bus in which the protesters are being taken and they are being detained. They have tried to break the barricades and protest in front of Rajiv Bhavan, and they have also said that as the Gandhi family, especially the Indian Congress, have been an integral part of Indian independence. So detaining them by ED is actually not acceptable. I'm trying to show you the live visuals from Rajiv Bhavan. Actually, a lot of lady protesters participated in today's protest in front of Rajiv Bhavan by Assam Pradesh Congress Committee, and a lot of them, we saw one of the lady protesters falling down from this barricade, and another one was dragged on the road because she tried to break the barricade and protest outside Rajiv Bhavan.
Well, Preeti, will request you to stay on with us. Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock. You continue to be with us here at CNN News 18. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. The top story that we continue to track even this hour, the massive protests that have broken out pan-India, all of this in the backdrop of the summons which were given to Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. And Sonia Gandhi, in fact, will be appearing before the Enforcement Directorate in relation to the National Herald case. There was a special request by her to have Priyanka Gandhi accompany her as well on medical grounds, which was also accepted as far as the ED is concerned. But just look at the visuals that we're bringing to you, not just from the national capital, but other parts of the country as well. Congress protests continue. All of this because the Congress today feels that this is just a witch hunt against the Gandhis. This is vendetta politics and there's no real case. They're calling this harassment and also a threat to democracy. My colleagues Siddhant continues to report for us. Preeti also continues to be with us. Siddhant, let me come to you first. This is literally a repetition of what we had seen when Rahul Gandhi had been called for summons and for questioning as far as the Enforcement Directorate is concerned. Let's talk to you first about the situation as far as the national capital is concerned. Where are we seeing the protest today? Siddhant, can you hear me? Okay, we'll try and reestablish that connection with my colleague Siddhant. But as I said, these protests are not coming just from the national capital, but from other parts as well. My colleague Preeti is also getting us some visuals and reports of what's taking place in Guwahati, I believe. Preeti, could you talk to us about what's happening around you? Preeti, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, and actually I am trying to show you the visuals on the screen how the protest here has turned violent today as the APCC Assam Pradesh Congress Committee actually tried to protest in front of Rajiv Bhavan, and they were given a lot of barricades. They were asked to protest inside the Rajiv Bhavan, but we could see that the protest broke the of Rajiv Bhavan, for which a lot of clash happened between the security personnel and the protesters. We could see we can say a lot of women were actually participating in this protest, and a lot of the women were seen breaking the barricade and coming out as well, for which one lady who is recognized as Ankita Datta, who is one of the very prime leaders of opposition in Congress, she was being dragged through a traffic point in between the road, and after that also we could see a lot of protesters where they had come into clashes with the security personnel employed outside the Congress committee. So you see, primarily what they have been focusing is Sonia Gandhi, their leader, being summoned by ED. It stated that as the Indian Congress and basically particularly the Gandhi family has so much an integral part of the Indian independence, so they regard this as disrespectful for their party that the ED is summoning their leader.
What is the kind of deployment that you're seeing on the ground, Preeti?
Yes, the deployment of security personnel, I have to tell you, it was site security was maintained outside Rajiv Bhavan, so that the protesters cannot come out and they cannot protest outside. But you could see that they tried to break the barricade and come out from the Rajiv Bhavan. And while before the protest, actually, they had a meeting with the party officials, with the party members. Even when they stated that this time they will definitely do a very democratic protest, and if stopped by the security personnel, they will break all kinds of Over to you.
Okay. So Preeti continues to report for us from Guwahati, where again massive protests continue to break out on the ground. The visual